I'm not done recreating old makeup looks, and this picture really stood out to me when I was going through old looks, so I'm really excited to try it again.
Hey, I'm maybe Burke, and you're watching Makeup for Lost Time. This is my series for trans women and other people who feel like they missed a few classes when it came to learning about makeup.
Starting out like I do everything with an eye base, this is the P. Louise. On this I'm really concentrating above the crease. I don't remember all of the products that I used for this, but I know I want to use a cream for the lid, so I don't really need to focus on giving a base there just yet. In that picture, it really doesn't look like I have a base at all, so I don't want this to be too heavy. So I'm coming in with a fluffy brush with nothing on it, just to help make sure that's like a really smooth, light layer. And there, it did blend down onto the lid, but it just wasn't my focus, you know? And now I can see three main elements of this eyeshadow. There's the lid color, there's the black V, but then there's also like a brown above that black, just helping it blend out. I'm not sure at all what I used, but I'm gonna start with a relatively fine brush here, and I'm just gonna take a light brown to map out where I think I want the color to go. You can see with the shape of this, I was really following the lower lash line. I'm kind of lifting out from there, and then not actually going as high as that just did, kind of just falling into my natural crease. And I'm realizing it's actually kind of just like a neutral version of the retro glam we did recently. I said I wanted to do it with other colors, so here we go. The reason I'm using this color to stamp out is because the black would be so much harder to like correct if I don't like the placement or if I mess up at all. So starting with something that's easier to blot away is gonna help us make sure we get the shape that we want. And then we can use this to be where the black blends out to. So now what we see, this is a pretty nice shape, but when I relax my eyes, there is some wonkiness going on. So I'm just gonna fill that in down to that lower lash line so that it's all cohesive when the eyes are lifted or relaxed. Now the purpose of this is literally just mapping out the shape. We're not actually doing the look yet. And I can see this one is actually a little bit more raised than this one. So I'm just gonna come in and try to match that to the other side and get things looking more similar at least. And I'm doing like a little bit of shading and blending here, but not a ton. So see, now there's a little bit of shadow right above the crease on both sides, and it's pretty even. So now what I'm gonna do is take like a little bit fluffier of a brush, and I'm going to dip that into a little bit darker of a brown. We're gonna do some blending. And this is basically just softening that shadow and that line, really keeping it in place. I don't want to go much higher than what it is right now. This is just gonna give us some dimension and somewhere to blend out from. And you can play around with how you like to blend your eyeshadows. Some people like to go dark to light. I personally like going light to dark, especially if I want to be really precise with where I'm putting the color. Because again, lighter shades are easier to start with because they're easier to get rid of if you mess up or you want to like course correct. Giving just the faintest whisper of the shadow as we get out from that shape. And now you can see pretty easily marked where the black is gonna sit. If we think of this like a shadow, I'm essentially drawing where the shadow is going to sit before we draw the thing that's casting the shadow. So then we can come in with the black. I'm gonna take the same brush that I started with because I like the shape of it. And this black is essentially going where I started with that brown in the V's like we originally planned, and then marrying it to the lash line across the outer corner as if we were doing something of a wing. And then we're just taking the fluffier brush that I used to blend and going in to shape that blend again. We really only need to worry about the outside of the blend here because the inside is obviously going to be influenced by the lid color. But you can see as I blend, I really lose the integrity of that like stark black line. And that's why we start with the shadow first, because we would lose the shape of the black if we were trying to do all of that blending after it. So I'm pretty sure that lid color is the Danessa ColorFix in Ballerina. There's a little bit of a like shimmer to it, and I'm not often wearing sparkles, so it would make sense if this was what I used. So I'm gonna take this again on like a pretty small brush so I can really control what I'm doing with it. And I'm basically gonna just fill all of that negative space with the color. A little bit goes a long way with Danessa, and I'm not quite like cutting a crease here, so I'm softening this upper edge. It's not quite the color that it was, but I'm gonna see if like doing a second layer helps. Or I might be wrong, I might be using the wrong thing. Because this actually like just gives me kind of a wet shine that looks like it's just my lid color, which is actually nice and good to know for future looks. But I do feel like I'm missing some of the pinkiness of it. So I'm gonna take a risk and take this Armani liquid blush that I have because I really like this pink color. And I'm gonna see what happens if I just mix that with the ColorFix. This one's more matte, but it has the pink that I want to show through. And maybe that was a bad move, putting a matte liquid shadow on top of a shimmer one. My watch is literally telling me to take a moment to breathe because I'm stressed if I mess it up. But that is giving me like the pink payoff I want. I think this was a good idea. Maybe I should have layered these the other way, but oh well. So from here, we've laid down like almost everything I want to do. However, it's still not quite the way that I want it to look because when we blended out of that black, we lost a lot of the color of it. So all we have to do is come back in and reinforce that where we want it to be the deepest. So of course that means coming back in with our black. And I'm gonna start on the lash line and really smooth that transition from the black to the pink before I move up to the V. And I'm really just using that one brush to give me that smooth blend. And just making sure it's all cohesive when the eyes are relaxed too. Now I think one of the things I loved in that original that I'm losing here is how tight that outer V was. So I'm gonna use that empty brush that I've been using to help me blend just to see if I can tighten up where this black is sitting. It's essentially working as an eraser. Ooh, and it's working really well. And this is really giving me that shape that I want. So I can take that black right up here. And then it's a lot more focused than it is here. And it looks a lot more like the original. Still with a little more blending and shading, because sue me, I like it. But I think the magic of this look is actually how tight it is, not the dramatic shape. So I'm actually gonna take a trick that I've seen people do, and I'm gonna take a pink loose powder all over. This helps smooth the blend, but it also helps if you go a little too heavy-handed to tone down what you've done. And it's translucent, so we can be messy with it. And I think what's actually getting me is the shape of the brush I'm using. So I'm gonna come in with this little bit of a flatter brush. And again, I'm just going to finalize the shape of that black right along that lash line and up into the crease. Less is more. And there is texture on my lids here from how they're sitting, but with a shimmer comes some texture, so I'm really gonna just top that with the original cream that I used. And that lays much better as a topper. And there we go. I see on this original, I think I did a liquid liner and a false lash, but I feel like I really don't need it on this. I'm just gonna use the volumizing mascara because the black of it all is quite dramatic. I feel like we don't need to add the drama of a lash. Sometimes a lash matches the energy, but I fear a false lash would actually overpower this look. Okay, I'm gonna go do my complexion off camera because it's nothing you haven't seen before, and I'll be right back. And here's the final look. Obviously, it's not quite exactly like the original, but I'm not here to do like a direct carbon copy. I'm here to make decisions based on what I would do today. I opted for a bit of a bolder lip, partially because I've just been obsessed with this color, and I realized it goes really well with what I'm wearing right now. The eye is a little more smoky, a little more blended of a version of what I did, but that's also like what I wanted to do this time. I'm not like a working makeup artist. I'm not here to like recreate the same looks. It's one of the reasons that I'm not working on other people. I can do my makeup similarly every time, but I can't like carbon copy make me look exactly the same. I mean, I guess I could if I worked on it, but I'm really not that interested. Part of the fun of it for me is like figuring out what it's going to look like and figuring out how to get the best results possible that day. So let me know which one you like better, if you enjoyed watching this recreation, and stick around as we make up for lost time.